I remember the exact moment when I understood that grief does not care about your schedule. It was a Tuesday morning. Completely ordinary day on the outside. I had work waiting, emails to answer, a to-do list that would not stop growing. And I sat at my desk, reached for my phone to call my father like I had done almost every week for years, and then I remembered. He was not there anymore. That had been 2 years earlier, and it still hit me like the first day. If you have lost someone, a parent, a sibling, someone whose absence reshapes the ordinary moments of your life, then you already know what I mean. Grief does not arrive once and then leave. It hides inside the small things. The phone calls that never happen, the chair that stays empty, the inside jokes that no one else remembers. Today, I want to talk honestly about what the 2 years after losing my father actually looked like. Not the polished version. Not the version where I say I found peace and moved forward with purpose. The real version. What broke down, what slowly started to work, and what I wish someone had told me before any of it happened. Because if you are somewhere in the middle of this right now, I want you to know that what you are feeling is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that something mattered. The first thing nobody told me was how physical it would be. I expected sadness. I expected to miss him. I did not expect my body to completely fall apart. Within the first few months, my sleep was destroyed. I was waking up at 3 a.m. every single night, lying in the dark. Mind running through every conversation we had ever had. My energy was gone. Not tired after a long week, gone. Something deeper. Like the lights had been turned down inside. I could not focus. I would start a task and lose it within minutes. I would read a paragraph and have no idea what it said. I was functioning on the outside, but running on almost nothing inside. There were days it genuinely felt like my body was injured, not just sad. I do not share that to make it sound dramatic. I share it because for a long time I thought I was being weak. I thought I should be able to push through it. Realizing that what I was feeling was a real physical response to loss, not a character flaw, changed how I treated myself during that period. If this sounds familiar, if you are in that place where your body feels like it has been knocked sideways, I want you to know that is not weakness. That is your nervous system doing exactly what it is supposed to do. The second thing I did not expect was the guilt. Not guilt about anything specific, just a low, constant hum of it. Guilt when I laughed at something. Guilt when I had a good day. Guilt when I noticed I had gone 3 hours without thinking about him, as if enjoying anything at all was a betrayal. Nobody warned me about this, and because nobody warned me, I thought it was mine alone. I thought it meant I was somehow doing grief wrong. What helped me, slowly, not all at once, was saying it out loud. Not to a therapist, though I will say more about that, just to a friend who had also lost someone. She said to me, "That guilt means you loved him. It does not mean you are moving on. It means you are still carrying him." I have thought about that a lot since. The guilt was not a problem to fix. It was love with nowhere to go. Once I understood that, it did not disappear. But it stopped feeling like evidence of something broken inside me. About 8 months in, I noticed I was starting to isolate. Not dramatically. I did not lock myself away. I just started saying no more. To social things, to plans, to conversations that required me to be present and okay when I was not. And for a while, that felt like self-protection, and maybe it was, for a short time. But I noticed something after several more months of it. The isolation was not making the grief quieter, it was making everything else smaller. My world was shrinking around the grief, and the grief was still there. It had just become the whole room instead of part of it. What I started doing, not because I read it somewhere, just because it became necessary, was making one very small social commitment each week. 1 coffee, 1 call. Nothing I had to perform for. Just someone who already knew, who did not need me to explain or be okay. That one small thing started to rebuild something. Not happiness. I am not going to tell you it fixed anything, but it kept a thread to the world outside the grief. And that thread mattered more than I expected it to. The one that surprised me most was how much grief affected my sense of identity. My father was someone I measured myself against my whole life. Not in a competitive way, in a foundational way. He was the person whose opinion I cared about, whose approval meant something, whose questions made me think harder about my own choices. When he died, I did not just lose him. I lost the version of myself that existed in relation to him. I have spoken to other people who lost a parent, and they describe something similar, a strange untethering, like a part of you suddenly has nothing to hold on to. What I found, not quickly, genuinely, over more than a year, was that rebuilding that required me to ask different questions. Not what would he think, but what do I actually think? It was uncomfortable. It still is sometimes. But it was also, quietly, a way of continuing the relationship in a different form. Taking what he had built in me and learning to carry it myself. I want to say something about professional support because I know this comes up. I did eventually speak to a grief counselor. Not immediately. It took me about 14 months before I was ready, and I want to be honest, the first one I tried was not right for me. The second one helped enormously. If you try one approach and it does not land, that does not mean professional support is not for you. It means that one was not the right fit. I am not a therapist, and I am not telling you what you need. I am only saying, if the weight of this is making daily life consistently difficult, please speak to someone qualified. Not because you cannot handle it, because you do not have to handle all of it alone. 2 years out, here is what is honestly true. I do not think about my father every day the way I did in the first year, but he is still woven into how I think. The things he said come back at unexpected moments. Grief did not end. It changed shape. It became less like a wall I kept running into and more like something I carry. Lighter some days, heavier others, but mine. And the one thing I would go back and tell myself at the very beginning, you are not supposed to be over this. You are supposed to be changed by it. I am not a doctor, therapist, or any kind of medical professional. Everything I have shared today is my personal experience only. If you are dealing with serious sleep problems, chronic anxiety, clinical burnout, or anything affecting your daily life, please speak to a qualified professional. Your health matters more. If something here helped even a little, subscribe. We are just getting started. And leave a comment. What is the one thing draining your energy most right now?